So, you just started a Mimic, and you want to know the basics and get a little better at the game. If so, you've come to the right place. So I've been playing the Mimic right from the start, and I have a lot of experience on it. So if you're just starting out, I'm going to tell you my best recommendations for when you're just starting out. Now, most people would say to go right to Chapter 1. And for my own personal opinion, I disagree. Chapter 1 would have been the best chapter to go to if it was just the 4 chapters, but there's an easy mode out, which is the Crystus Trials. I recommend doing that on normal, just to get used to how the Mimic works. And once you do the Crystus Trials, since it's like probably the easiest thing you can do in the Mimic right now, other than probably like the secret event, which I think the Crystus Trials is actually easier than the secret event for Halloween, which is not there anymore. But it's an easy event. You just collect some toys, and then you grab this thing off Krampus. If you're not good with interacting with monsters and you're generally like really scared to like even go close to the monsters, then maybe stick to Chapter 1, because you do not actually have to interfere with any of the Mimic monsters, but in the Crystus Trials you do. You do have to grab the key off Krampus, which is the Mimic monster in it. So if you want something easy, but you're going to have to interact with the monster, there's some videos how-to on my channel, so if you need help with that, go check those out. Definitely do the Crystus Trials. If you don't want something that interactive and you trust your skills not to run into any Mimic monsters on your first time, good luck. Then I recommend sticking with Chapter 1. Couple of pointers for if you're just starting out, which are pretty basic but really can help out if you're just a beginner. Number one thing is to not use your sprint bar up to the max. It's the biggest habit in the Mimic, even for some pros at the Mimic, where they just like use their entire sprint bar, then they got nothing, and when they see the monster they can't run away from him. So that's one of the biggest tips I have for you. With your sprint bar, I recommend just tapping it unless you get chased and you just full on sprint, but just tap tap tap. You can keep your sprint up while keeping your sprint bar to the max, and you should be safe, because most of the time you are actually faster than the Mimic monsters. If you're a beginner and you're scared of all the jump scares, I actually have a full set of all jump scare videos to show you where every single jump scare is, and some how-tos for like Crystus Trials and Halloween event, which is not there anymore. But if you do want to see what that was like, because it should come back next Halloween, definitely go check those out. So once you've done the order from like Crystus Trials, Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3, Chapter 4, then the Witch Trials, you can try, I would recommend trying Nightmare, as it's like the more advanced. The monsters are like way faster, way harder, and you only get 1 life. So if you really think you can do it without dying once on hard mode, try Nightmare, because there is actually a Hall of Fame in the Mimic. If you get a certain place and you're recording when Nightmare is released, right, if you get it really fast, I actually got into the Hall of Fame once for 8th place, and during Chapter 3, yeah, you can actually get into the Hall of Fame, and they put up a profile, or like your actual like a mini statue of your Roblox character or Roblox profile. It's actually really cool. So if you want to get better at the Mimic, Nightmare is definitely one way to do it, but you only get 1 life. And if you die, you have to restart, unless you want to pay Robux, but that does not count towards your Hall of Fame. Now, I shouldn't be saying this, but Mimic is a game of non-panicking, meaning if you panic, you're most likely going to die because you shake your mouse too much. So the goal is when you see the Mimic monster and it scares you, you have to gain control really fast and run away, because you cannot run it and you can't survive. So just think about that next time you're playing a Mimic. A lot of people say, like, for the Mimic, like, they'll only play with friends and stuff like that, or, like, how do I get better with friends? And it's very difficult to get really good with friends, because usually what happens is when your friends gets really good at the Mimic, and then they just carry you. So if you really want to get good at the Mimic, I recommend going solo. That's what I did for every single chapter to start off when they come out. Just play them solo, see how they are, right? Just experience it, because the story is really cool, right? And sometimes they go at like a fast pace. So I recommend going through at your own pace, because Mimic has a great story. It's very scary, but it has a great story. So, and no, I'm not saying don't play with friends. By all means, do. And if you want to play with them on release, go for it. But if you really want to get good at Mimic, I recommend playing it solo first. It really doesn't matter, but the story, you just get more involved in it solo. So that's just my opinion on that. But if you have a bunch of friends and you want to play the Mimic, yes, go for it. You can support 5 players and 10 players on the Witch Trials. Remember that too. Learn the safe spots. This is another big one. So there's a lot of safe spots, like in the Crystus Trials, like under the tables, behind sort of stuff, and in a bunch of other chapters, like safe rooms and stuff. Learn where the safe rooms are and where the safe rooms aren't, because they do trick you sometimes where you think it's a save from and it's not, so just be careful of that. Watch some walkthroughs or some all jump scares, stuff like that. Finally, once you're done all that, next thing I'll do is lantern hunt if you're bored. What lantern hunting is trying to get every single lantern in the game. There are some couple of exceptions where you just play the first chapter, right, on normal, and you will get a lantern, but most of the lanterns are only on nightmares. So, make sure you have all the lanterns if you're trying to collect them. Guess that's what I did. It was just super fun collecting them. There's usually one for every single chapter on nightmare. If you get it, so if you want a cool lantern, there's definitely one for like Crystal Trials Chapter 4, Chapter 3, Witch Trials, all those, right, on Nightmare. So if you have nothing to do, you get those lanterns. After you're done all that, you basically completed the whole game. Some things you can do, there's a speedrun thing that's a very competitive thing, but if you're just playing like Mimic for fun, I wouldn't get involved in that. But if you do want to get into the competitive aspect, sure, why not? Go to speedrun.com and then look up the Mimic. I've actually got 16th place on Chapter 1. Yeah, so I got Ken up on the board on the speedrun thing. Hope this video helps, and enjoy the Mimic. See you guys all next time. Peace out.
For the record, I'm done trying to make y'all comfortable. For the record, you ain't trying to grow, then it's done for you. For the record, lab on me going all the way. For the record, ain't trying to link, no time to waste. For the record.